Last topic of the mid card. I never got around to watching it. I've been a little bit behind, but I know it's a big thing out there right now. I know Iceberg, you've probably seen this. VICE's Who Killed WCW came out recently. I'll let you start it off since I know you've probably seen it.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't see the very last episode yet, but I watched the 3 of them. There's 4 episodes. I just can't find that on YouTube. They got the other 3 on YouTube. But yeah, no. Obviously, I grew up watching the Monday Night Wars. I was a huge WCW fan, believe it or not. I know that's not cool to say now because they weren't the winners.
In its prime, like WCW.
But I was one of them guys during the 83 weeks, and probably 100 of those weeks, I was watching Nitro before I watched Raw. Obviously, I was flipping back and forth, but I was 100% on WCW side. I loved the NWO, obviously. My favorite wrestlers were literally Hulk Hogan and Scott Hall. Kevin Nash was good too, but, I wouldn't say he was my favorite. But, I mean, so I was naturally, and then, of course, Ric Flair. I mean, how much talent did WCW have back then? I mean, they almost had too much talent. Kind of, sort of what WWE's going through right now. That's why you almost need another, an equal competitor because there's so much main event talent out there. You know what I mean? But yeah, I got into the WCW and what's cool about this documentary is you hear from executives. And this is also sort of this is like the first WCW documentary that the WWF didn't do, right? So you're getting a fresh perspective on that. Even though I will say a caveat, Vice teamed up with The Rock's, I think it's $8 promotion or something. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's not the first one around a WWE spin, you know what I mean? But yeah, technically that's how they kind of like built it up, hyped it up about. But yeah, they still don't know who killed him. I mean, who killed WCW? Like they don't answer that question. I don't think. But yeah, but they do, which is very interesting. They show the executives. Come to find out, WCW was doomed from the start. All the executives did not want wrestling to succeed on their programming, and the only one was Ted Turner. And when they went public and AOL, they merged and went public, I mean, that was pretty much a wrap for WCW, man. I mean, I heard Vince McMahon bought it for very cheap. Very cheap.
I think it was $4 million. Like some wrestlers made more than that a year.
Yeah, and it's a shame because they had all that talent, man. They had they were doing the luchadors before any American TV was doing it, right? Eric Bischoff, he took a struggling, Scott Hall used to always come on there and go WCW, you know what I mean? Because they were always from the South, and they turned it into they made wrestling hot, man. I mean, Monday Night Raw and Monday Night Nitro, as a whole, both companies, they were drawing Super Bowl numbers. Monday Night Football numbers. It was cool to, and that's why when The Rock came on, this last little run he did, he's like, I'm making wrestling cool again. It was because he was shouting out that Attitude Era. I mean, that was, everybody was a fan back then.
JT, did you see that?
Yeah, I think I saw the first episode, but like everything is great. Like honestly, like it might be an unpopular opinion, but actually, like when it came to in ring stuff, I like WCW miles ahead of WWF back then. Like WWF had the edgy stories and stuff like that. WCW had the high profile matches, like the in ring work, and WCW in its peak was really good.
I think, or go ahead. I think
you guys both seem to be on the same page.
Well, no, you know what? I'm going to tell you right now. I disagree with that. As much as I love WCW, um, as much as I love WCW, their main event guys were weren't up to par with the
Oh
WWF
yeah,
guys
yeah.
in ring. You know
I
what I
will say
mean?
this: WWF had a really good main event and a terrible mid card, and WCW had a really good, like, you know, the cruiserweight division and the mid card. And their main event scene, for the most part, was kind of like lackluster. They didn't really have like that many variety of like main eventers, other than, like, you know, like Flair, Sting, Goldberg, Hogan.
Yeah.
So I'll say,
Well, yeah.
I didn't see the Vice documentary, but I can say to that, the WCW's lack in the main event was because they were not original stars, in my opinion. I feel like they did some great things, but at the end of the day, we had already seen these guys through their peak and prime as far as the main eventers go. The people in those mid cards and tag teams, those were the guys just coming in and proving themselves. Those were the guys we were like, oh shit, who's that? Oh, they just did what? Oh, so that, like, to your point, the mid card was their strong suit, the main event was their weak point, whereas it was vice versa in WWF, because at that time all the WWF main eventers were original stars who were just coming in and making a name for themselves.
Yeah.
That's your problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the work rate was different.
The work rate was different.
Yeah. Those older guys in WCW didn't take a lot of bumps.
No.
You know?
So,
straight up.
them guys in WWF were going off of Hell in a Cell and just killing
The only one in WCW, Scott Hall. You didn't watch any Scott Hall match. That man he bumped like crazy. He had that WWF style. And he was younger than them guys. He was at the time. At the time, he was one of the young ones.
That's why he needed DDP yoga, though.
Oh, yeah. He was, then he was a raging alcoholic, drug addict. You know what I mean? But, yeah. R.I.P. Scott Hall, man.
Yeah, R.I.P. Definitely underrated.
Gotta love a bad guy.
Fuck yeah, dude. Hey, they need people like him. You know what I mean? Like you said, you know?
Other than the alcoholic part.
Yeah. It got rough towards the end. It was really rough towards the end. But, you know, a few beers ain't bad. You know, I'm not gonna kill you over a few beers. You know, it's a tough life, you know? But when you start fucking mixing the pills and shit, you start blacking out. Yeah. You're gonna say some off the wall shit, man.
R.I.P. I met him in Jeff, we were there. I met him in Vegas. 20.
Did you meet him?
Yeah, dude. Took a picture with him on the ladder with the IC.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Remember that. Pretty
yeah, you're lucky, man. I should have went.
Who else did you meet? Did you meet Cody too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I met Cody and I asked him why, what was the deal about, you know, because at the time they were like, are they going to sign CM Punk? This was like when they first were conceived, right? It was 3 years prior. And he had actually told me, he was like, yeah, well, the problem is Punk's asking for too much money. And I was like, damn, I would too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I met a lot of good people there, man. Mark Henry, X-Pac.
Man, I wish I would have done more meet and greets.
Billy Gunn was like, man, he's like, dude, I go to bed at 9 p.m., 7 p.m. sometimes. He's like, I get up at 4, 5, 6. I fucking immediately start running.
There you go. That's an underrated guy right there, man. Billy Gunn.
I
think he was underrated, man.
I agree.
He was in a badass tag team, right? DX with the Road Dogg. And even anytime I saw him in the ring, man, he bumped like crazy, and he was really athletic. He had the good body, no homo, right? And he was great on the mic, you know.
Bro,
so
he made Charlie Haas seem something special. And Billy
right.
Haas when they did the but whatever.
That one tag team, yes.
Yeah, he was one of those guys where like he could make anybody look good. You know,
Yeah, his
And
only
was-
problem was he didn't really have like a character or like that storyline. I think that was like his main thing why he never really like.
Yeah, they never put him in like a main storyline.
no, they never put him as a singles competitor.
I think they tried, but like the way they did it just didn't work.
Yeah.
I just watched a Raw the other day where it was an old one, and real quick it was Stone Cold versus like the Vince McMahon, but Vince McMahon had Kane and Undertaker, Brothers of Destruction, under his belt. They were like kind of like his hitman, so they were beating the shit out of Stone Cold and shit like that, right? And they had him do a tag match, right? And but nobody knew who was going to come to the aid of Stone Cold, and Vince McMahon was paying off all the wrestlers not to come down, right? Like he was like, guaranteeing title matches if they don't go help Stone Cold, right?
Yeah.
And Sherman Mahal, all of a sudden, fucking, they're out there, and guess who comes out to help them? Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn was with DX. He was with the Road Dogg, and he just it was so weird to see that. And he fought earlier in the match, but yet he ran down there with like no gimmick, and they just had a flat out tag team match against Kane and Undertaker. Like it was like I think Kane and Undertaker won.
Were they trying to? What was the purpose? Were they trying to dabble and see if he could withstand?
It was weird.
Without DX, without Road Dogg, could
yeah.
he be the guy?
Yeah, it was definitely for me. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't watching every week, and I just happened to come across that Raw and put it on. And so I don't know if they were trying to build him up prior to that, but definitely he came down there in the main event, helping out Stone Cold. So,
but DX is sworn enemies of Vince McMahon, so that's all you really need there.
That is true. I think that's really what it was.
Yeah. So, but anyway, great mid card. Up next is going to be the main event. We're going to reconvene on our end. Won't look no different to you guys, but basically the main event on our next video. You can find it somewhere over there, or I don't know if you're on YouTube or Spotify. So if you're on Spotify, probably over there. You see. Either way, in the main event, we're going to go over the Triple H and Batista feud, where it started, evolution, how they came to butt heads. We're going to watch the match and commentate on it, and then we're going to give our final opinions on basically whether or not that feud holds up today. Was it as influential as we think it was? It's set around. So that's going to be our main event. So click on over to that next video, hit the profile, whatever you got to do, go find that. Go find that video ASAP, because that's going to be the banger.
That's the banger.
Banger.
Yep.